today's announcement's the culmination of a fairly long, lengthy process. I think a very deliberate, reasoned process that our presidents have been involved with for most of the last 2 years. We kind of saw some things coming with conference membership change, and certainly from a distance we were watching some of the things happening here at the University of New Orleans, certainly still dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, but rebuilding the university, and certainly the athletic department has a big role in that as well. So, we've kind of, as we saw changes coming in our membership, of course the questions become, well, what's next for us? Who might we bring into the conference? And I don't know that UNO was an obvious choice until we knew of the presidential change with Dr. Foss coming on board, as well as their system change. They joined our other Louisiana institutions in the UL system. So that really triggered more serious discussions, but certainly knowing that Dr. Foss was not interested in the Division II path, that really got us engaged, and there was a meeting with himself, me, Dr. Moffitt up at the system office in Baton Rouge back in January. Then there was a meeting a couple of weeks later with our presidents, and I think from the very beginning, with my background involved with this campus, I made it very clear to our presidents, this is a Division I institution. Forget what's happening or has happened the last 2 years. This is a Division I school, and we probably need to give them some consideration if we in fact expand the conference, and that's where we are today.
And you never had a school in New Orleans, but New Orleans was always a big part, this area was always a big part of the Southland Conference. Talk about being in this city now.
Well, you're absolutely right. The city of New Orleans, whether we have a school here or not, it's always important. We're going to recruit a lot of students, a lot of student athletes to places like Southeastern, to Nichols, to Northwestern, McNeese, and maybe even beyond that into Texas as well, and Arkansas. But to actually be here now on a regular basis to compete in every sport is going to be huge for all of our coaches. Now, to a certain degree, UNO may not like our coaches being here and competing all the time, but just like our other moves into the Houston area, San Antonio, we're back in now with the announcement earlier this week, and Tulsa, we're going to be in some big cities, and I think that's going to benefit our conference greatly, especially in the recruiting area.
Now, Sam Houston has their rivalry with Stephen F. Are you hoping that the UNO rivalry with Southeastern, UNO rivalry with Nichols, something like that takes off to where they can have a couple of good rivalries here in this area?
I think that's naturally going to happen. I think that when you've got opponents less than an hour away, two opponents even, they're going to be natural rivalries. I think it's going to get fans excited. You're going to be able to get in the car and go see your team play on the road a lot easier than before, and I think that just builds the rivalry, adds value to the conference. And I think, as I recall back in UNO Sunbelt days, they had a lot of heated rivalries, and that really went beyond the driving distance. There were a lot of, UNO was very good back then, and we think they can get back to that point and be beneficial to our conference.
Now, the president told me in a one-on-one interview, he said when Southland Conference started talking to us about coming to the conference, that we were told football was not an option, that it is a demand. Football has to return to UNO. Talk a little bit about, this is a football conference and what that would mean.
Yeah, and we make no bones about it. This is a football conference. It has been for half a century. It will always be a football conference. Certainly, it's so important to all of us that play the sport. With UNO here, they've had a club football team. They've never had a varsity program. They've never been part of a conference before. Our presidents didn't mandate football here, but they really kind of phrased it as a strong preference for the sport, and maybe in a strategic executable plan over the next 5 to 6 years. But I think we've always said before football can work for the conference, it has to work for the institution and the local community. I think we've seen that with recent additions at Southeastern and at Lamar, and the conference stuff naturally follows, and that's kind of the easy part if you want to refer to it as that. But it's got to first work here in the city at our level, and they've got to figure out a way to do that over the next 5 to 6 years.
Facilities here, they got May Street Field right over there. You got this building that we're standing in. They don't have a lack of facilities around here. They have the places to play.
Yeah, a 10,000 seat arena here, Lakefront Arena, is just fantastic. It's been renovated in the last few years. Of course, May Street Field, Privateer Park, one of the best baseball facilities in the South. They've got a 26-court tennis center right outside here. They've got an aquatic center. They've got Tad Gormley Stadium for track meets, and maybe down the line a football possibility. So, yeah, they've got the places to play, and I think that'll make them attractive to recruits who now know they're committed to Division I, and the city is an attraction all by itself as well. So, I think from a facility standpoint, there's just a lot of attraction here.
You lost last year when UTSA went away. You lost the top 20 media market. Monday, you jumped right back into that media market. You jumped into this top 40 media market. Talk a bit about what that means to the conference and exposure.
Well, I think it means a lot, and in addition to New Orleans and San Antonio, we've talked about Houston, Tulsa. We've been in the Little Rock area as well, and that's not to slight any of our other smaller markets that are very important to us as well. But to be able to go to media companies and say, we're in New Orleans, we're in Houston, San Antonio, Tulsa, Little Rock, other places, I think that says volumes about the strength of the league, its future viability, and certainly, as we hope, when we perhaps sit down at the table with national networks in 2 or 3 years to renegotiate or look at other options, that will carry some weight. So that certainly is very important for us going forward.